Well, welcome everyone to church.
Selamat datang semuanya.
It is wonderful to see you all.
Kami sangat bersyukur melihat saudara.
If we have not met, my name is Fraser.
Jika saudara belum bertemu, namanya adalah Pastor Fraser Brown.
And this is Lena.
Saya Ibu Lina.
And with my wife over here, Intan, I have the privilege of leading this beautiful church, C3
Iya.
The Bukit.
Jadi Pastor Fraser dan Pastor Intan mendapatkan kesempatan untuk sejak bulan lalu untuk memimpin gereja C3 The Bukit.
Beautiful. So, if I was to tell you that I love surfing, would you believe me? Most people will say no.
Iya, kalau saya bilang saya suka surfing, saudara percaya atau enggak?
If I said yesterday I was surfing at Dreamland,
Kalau saya bilang kemarin saya surfing di Dreamland.
and it was fun, but it was a bit cold,
Sangat fun tapi agak dingin.
and I was out there with my shortboard,
Saya pakai board yang pendek.
and the waves were fun, but yes, the water was very cold.
Ya, wave-nya sangat bagus tapi airnya sangat dingin.
I was sitting in the lineup, and I see this set coming in,
Saya ada di line up dan saya lihat setnya datang, set ombak.
and I can see 3 waves in this set,
Dan saya lihat ada 3 ombak yang mau datang.
and so I decide I'm going to take the 3rd wave.
Saya memutuskan untuk ngambil ombak yang ketiga.
The first wave comes in, and it's pretty good, but
Ya,
I'll
ombak
let it
yang
go.
pertama bagus tapi saya nggak ambil.
And the second one is even better, but I'm waiting for the 3rd one, right?
Yang kedua lebih
It's gotta
bagus
be the
tapi
best.
saya menunggu yang ketiga karena lebih baik.
And so the 3rd one comes, and it's terrible.
Yang ketiga datang ternyata ombaknya jelek.
I sound like I know what I'm talking about, don't I? A little bit, maybe.
Kesannya saya tahu tentang surfing ini,
Does anyone
kesannya.
believe me?
Percaya
Did I
nggak?
trick anyone?
Atau saya ini
Maybe a
bohong?
little bit, maybe a little bit. If you know me, you know that I don't go surfing.
Iya, kalau saudara mengenal Pastor Fraser, tahu dia tuh bukan surfer.
No, definitely not a surfer. I like my feet to be on the land. Much better. And so I was talking, though, as though I was a surfer.
Saya berbicara seolah-olah saya ini surfer.
But my life, what I do, doesn't reflect what I was saying.
Tapi hidup saya yang saya katakan tadi barusan tidak merefleksikan apa yang saya katakan.
I might be able to make it sound good, but I can't actually surf.
Iya, saya mungkin bisa berbicara sangat baik tentang surfing, tapi sebenarnya saya nggak bisa.
So we can very easily make it sound like things are going well.
Jadi kita sangat mudah bisa bilang sesuatu itu berjalan dengan baik.
We can make it sound like we're this really faithful, good Christian person.
Kita juga bisa bilang, oh aku adalah orang Kristen yang taat.
But does me talking about surfing make me a surfer?
Artinya sama seperti saya ngomong tentang surfing, bukan berarti saya surfer.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Iya.
Does me talking about theology and talking about living a Christian life, does that make me a follower of Jesus?
Apakah ketika saya bicara tentang teologi dan iman, apakah saya seorang pendeta?
In the same way that I can sound like I know what I'm doing when I'm surfing, I can make it sound like I know what I'm doing in following Jesus. I can make it sound like I'm following Jesus.
Sama seperti kesannya saya bisa bicara tentang surfing, saya juga bisa bicara kesannya seperti saya adalah orang percaya yang taat.
Maybe I can even look a little bit like I'm following Jesus.
Mungkin saya bisa kelihatan seperti saya pengikut Yesus.
I'm going to church on Sunday.
Saya pergi ke gereja hari Minggu.
I pray before I eat my meals.
Saya berdoa sebelum makan.
I read the verse of the day every morning.
Saya membaca Alkitab tiap hari.
But if our life and our actions don't evidence that, then are we really following Jesus?
Tapi jika hidup saya tidak membuktikannya, apakah saya pengikut Yesus?
If we say that we are a follower of Jesus, but we constantly speak negatively and gossip about people,
Tapi kalau saya bilang saya pengikut Yesus, tapi saya bergosip dan ngomong negatif tentang orang lain,
if we're dishonest,
dan kita nggak jujur,
if we pursue sinful desires,
dan saya mengejar hal-hal yang menyebabkan saya jatuh dalam dosa,
and if we don't do the good things that we know we should do,
dan tidak melakukan hal yang baik yang harusnya saya lakukan,
then how can we say we genuinely have faith?
bagaimana kita bisa bilang, oh saya ini punya iman?
This is the challenge that James gives us in James chapter 2 verse 14 to 17, which is where we're going to read from this morning.
Ini yang dikatakan di Yakobus tentang apa yang kita baru bicarakan.
And James says, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead."
Apakah gunanya saudara-saudaraku jika seorang mengatakan bahwa ia mempunyai iman padahal ia tidak mempunyai perbuatan? Dapatkah iman itu menyelamatkan dia? Jika seorang saudara atau saudari tidak mempunyai pakaian dan kekurangan makanan sehari-hari dan seorang dari antara kamu berkata, "Selamat jalan, kenakanlah kain panas dan makanlah sampai kenyang." Tetapi ia tidak memberikan kepadanya apa yang perlu bagi tubuhnya, apakah gunanya itu? Demikian juga halnya dengan iman, jika iman itu tidak disertai dengan perbuatan, maka iman itu pada hakikatnya adalah mati.
Does this mean that in order to be saved, I have to do good things?
Apakah artinya supaya saya diselamatkan saya harus berbuat baik?
As in, if I do enough good things, then I get into heaven.
Apakah artinya kalau saya cukup berbuat baik saya pergi ke surga?
That's not what James is saying here either.
Bukan itu artinya.
The message of James that suggests we need to evidence our faith with good works
Tapi yang dinyatakan di kitab Yakobus adalah kita harus menyatakan iman kita dengan perbuatan.
is that the good works are just that, they are evidence of our faith.
Karena perbuatan baik itu adalah bukti dari iman kita.
That is the evidence that we are following Jesus.
Bukti kalau kita adalah pengikut Kristus.
So last week, if you were not with us, Pastor Cherry shared a challenging message talking about what it means to follow Jesus.
Minggu lalu Pastor Cherry memberikan pesan bahwa bagaimana kita mengikut Yesus.
Called No Turning Back.
Tidak melihat ke belakang.
And so last week we read from John chapter 12 verse 24 to 26. And so we're going to read that again today as well because it is kind of the same kind of message as James is giving here.
Ya, kita membaca dari kitab Yohanes sama seperti yang dibilang Yakobus.
Very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. Anyone who loves their life will lose it, while anyone who hates their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, my servant also will be. My Father will honor the one who serves me.
Aku berkata kepadamu, sesungguhnya jikalau biji gandum tidak jatuh ke dalam tanah dan mati, ia tetap satu biji saja. Tetapi jika ia mati, ia akan menghasilkan banyak buah. Barang siapa mencintai nyawanya, ia akan kehilangan nyawanya. Tetapi barang siapa tidak mencintai nyawanya di dunia ini, ia akan memeliharanya untuk hidup yang kekal. Barang siapa melayani aku, ia harus mengikut aku dan di mana aku berada. Di situ pun pelayanku akan berada. Barang siapa melayani aku, ia akan dihormati Bapa.
So following Jesus cannot have compromise.
Mengikut Yesus artinya kita nggak boleh kompromi.
There is no turning back.
Nggak ada lagi namanya berbalik.
If we are people that have made the decision and said, I have decided to follow Jesus,
Kalau kita bilang aku sudah memutuskan untuk mengikut Yesus,
then as John says, we cannot love our lives in this world too much. We cannot turn back to the old way of living.
artinya kita jangan mencintai kehidupan kita di bumi ini. Artinya jangan hidup dengan cara hidup yang lama.
And the overall message of James carries a very similar message.
Yakobus juga membawa pesan yang sama.
That in order for us to genuinely be followers of Jesus, our life must have evidence of it.
Supaya hidup kita sungguh-sungguh mengikuti Tuhan, harus ada bukti dari iman kita.
The way that we live must show that we are followers of Jesus.
Cara kita hidup harus membuktikan kasih Yesus.
And so beginning this morning, over the next month or so, we're going to spend some time looking at the book of James.
Jadi dalam beberapa minggu ke depan kita akan belajar tentang kitab Yakobus.
And so the book of James is an uncompromising key to the Christian life.
Jadi kitab Yakobus adalah kunci untuk tidak kompromi dalam kehidupan kekristenan.
It is often very direct and straight to the point,
Biasanya sangat langsung to the point.
sometimes not really what you want to hear. There's no sugarcoating.
Mungkin saudara nggak pengen dengar, kesannya agak keras.
And a key theme of this message, as we've said, is that we're called to live out our faith.
Intinya adalah supaya kita hidup sesuai dengan iman kita,
That we are called to have a living faith.
yaitu iman yang sejati.
That our faith is not just something that happens on a Sunday morning at church
Iman yang bukan hanya timbul di hari Minggu
or forms a small part of our lives,
atau bagian kecil dari kehidupan kita,
but it must impact our whole worldview. It must impact the way that we live
tapi iman kita itu adalah mempengaruhi seluruh kehidupan kita dan juga orang lain.
and impact who we are.
Dan mempengaruhi siapakah kita di dalam Tuhan.
This letter written by James is historically considered to have been one of the first letters ever written from the New Testament.
Kitab Yakobus ini adalah kitab pertama yang ditulis oleh di Perjanjian Baru.
It's hot up here.
setelah 10 tahun kebangkitan Yesus.
Yes, so as early, this letter that James wrote is considered to have been written as early as 10 years after the resurrection of Jesus.
Ya, jadi kitab ini adalah kitab pertama yang ditulis oleh setelah 10 tahun kebangkitan Yesus.
So, who is this guy, James, that wrote this letter?
Siapakah Yakobus ini?
Does anyone know? Does anyone know who he
Siapakah
is?
yang kenal Yakobus?
Why is he qualified to speak to us about the Christian life?
Kenapa dia berkualifikasi untuk menulis salah satu kitab
So,
ini?
James is actually the half brother of Jesus.
Yakobus adalah saudara seibu Yesus.
Half brother because they had the same mother, but Jesus was not biologically Joseph's
Iya.
son.
Seibu artinya karena Yakobus kan anaknya Yusuf, sedangkan Tuhan Yesus dibuahi oleh Roh Kudus.
And so James, in his own right, was not only the half brother of Jesus, but he was the leader of the church in Jerusalem. A
Tapi-
big job.
Pada saat itu bukan karena saudara Yesus, tapi Yakobus adalah waktu itu adalah salah satu pemimpin gereja di Yerusalem.
And so if James wanted to, he could have talked about himself and made himself feel important, right? Imagine if you were the half brother of Jesus. That's pretty cool.
Iya. Bayangkan kalau saudara itu saudara kandungnya Yesus, tapi saudara akan merasa penting.
I feel like you'd be like, that guy that died and rose again, that's my brother.
Iya, itu loh, saudaraku loh itu.
But if we go to James 1, verse 1, right at the start of the letter, in the introduction,
Tapi kalau kita lihat di Yakobus 1 ayat 1,
where he introduces himself,
apa yang Yakobus katakan tentang dirinya?
he says, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Salam dari Yakobus, hamba Allah dan Tuhan Yesus Kristus.
That James does not elevate himself, but he actually lowers himself.
Ya, Yakobus tidak meninggikan dirinya, tapi dia merendahkan dirinya.
He doesn't say James, the leader of the church in Jerusalem,
Dia tidak bilang Yakobus pemimpin gereja Yerusalem.
or James, the brother of Jesus,
Yakobus saudara Yesus.
but he says, I am a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus.
Tapi dia berkata, aku Yakobus, hamba Allah dan Yesus Kristus.
So this letter was originally addressed and written to Jewish Christians,
Jadi kitab Yakobus ini pertama ditulis untuk orang bangsa Yahudi.
because at the point it was written was so early in the formation of the church that it hadn't really spread out into non-Jewish areas yet.
Karena pada waktu itu gereja sangat berkembang dengan pesat.
But it is absolutely for anyone who follows Jesus, that this is advice about how to live as a Christian or as a follower of Jesus.
Ya, tapi kitab Yakobus ini sebenarnya untuk kita semua sampai saat ini.
In fact, James makes more references to Jesus' Sermon on the Mount than any other letter in the New Testament.
Jadi kitab Yakobus ini banyak berhubungan langsung dengan sesuai dengan apa khotbah Yesus di atas bukit.
And so last week, Pastor Cherry challenged us to look at the way that we are living.
Minggu lalu Pastor Cherry menantang kita untuk melihat bagaimana gaya hidup kita.
Are we living the way that Jesus has called us to, or have we started to turn back?
Apakah kita hidup sesuai dengan cara Yesus atau kita kembali ke cara hidup yang lama?
Are we making compromises in our life?
Apakah kita berkompromi dalam hidup kita?
Or are we allowing the culture or the people around us or our relationships to pull us in different directions?
Apakah kita mengizinkan budaya-budaya yang sudah biasa bagi orang pada umumnya dan juga orang sekitar kita untuk mengubah hidup kita?
And so a central message of this book of James is to combat that very thing.
Ya, jadi kitab Yakobus ini menerangkan lebih jelas.
And so over the coming weeks, we're going to look at almost go verse by verse through James and look at what he says about all kinds of different things
Ya,
in the Christian life.
jadi banyak hal yang akan kita pelajari dalam kitab Yakobus ini.
But as an introduction, we're going to look at kind of one of the main or the major themes of the letter, as we've said, is being active in our faith.
Ya, jadi kita akan lihat tema utama dari Yakobus ini.
Now, what does that mean to be active in our faith?
Apa artinya aktif dalam iman?
Does it mean that I come to church every Sunday and pray every morning and then that's it? I'm active in my faith.
Ya, apakah artinya kalau aktif dalam iman, datang ke gereja tiap minggu dan juga berdoa tiap hari itu udah cukup aktif?
Does it mean that I need to go to Bible college and understand ancient Greek?
Apakah artinya saya harus pergi ke sekolah Alkitab dan mengerti bahasa Yunani?
Does it mean that I have to become a pastor or a Bible teacher?
Apakah saya harus menjadi pendeta atau guru agama?
James would suggest the answer is no to all three of those questions.
Bukan.
As we read before in James's introduction for living as a Christian,
Dikatakan sini hidup sebagai pengikut Kristus.
is that we are to show that we are living this life through our actions.
Yaitu menyatakan iman kita dengan perbuatan.
There should be evidence of the fact that we have faith in Jesus.
Yang membuktikan bahwa kita punya iman di dalam Yesus.
Just like there should be evidence that I'm a surfer and not just me talking about it.
Iya, sama seperti membuktikan kalau benar saya adalah surfer, bukan hanya
Maybe one
tukang
day we'll get there.
ngomong tentang surfing aja.
It's funny though, people like, you live in Bali, you must love surfing. I'm like, it's all right. I just sit on the beach. And so the central call of the book of James is that this Christian life in general is that we are to have a living and an active faith.
Ya, jadi umumnya di kitab Yakobus adalah kita hidup dengan iman yang aktif.
And so this morning we're going to look at some of the things that we do actively as followers of Jesus to live this life.
Jadi kita harus dengan aktif setiap hari, bukan hanya itu, untuk hidup memiliki iman yang sejati dalam Yesus.
And we're going to start really light and fun. And the first one is resisting sin.
Ya.
Nice and light topic to begin with.
Yang pertama, lawanlah dosa.
So James 1 verse 13 to 15. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they're dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death.
Apabila seseorang dicobai, jangan hanya berkata, pencobaan ini datang dari Allah. Sebab Allah tidak dapat dicobai oleh yang jahat dan ia sendiri tidak mencobai siapapun. Tetapi tiap-tiap orang dicobai oleh keinginannya sendiri karena ia diseret dan dipikat olehnya. Dan apabila keinginan itu telah dibuahi, ia melahirkan dosa. Dan apabila dosa itu sudah matang, ia melahirkan maut.
So God cannot tempt us.
Tuhan tidak mencobai kita.
God is holy,
Tuhan
which
itu
means he is
kudus.
completely separate from sin.
Dia terpisah dari dosa.
He cannot entice someone into sin.
Dia tidak bisa membuat orang jatuh dalam dosa.
And James also says that sin is serious,
Dikatakan di Yakobus bahwa dosa ini adalah hal yang serius.
that sin leads to death.
Dosa membawa kepada maut.
So this is a serious issue.
Dan ini adalah hal yang sangat serius.
But James 1 verse 14 explains that temptation is not our only problem.
Jadi dikatakan sini kalau pencobaan itu bukanlah masalah kita sendiri.
As long as we live on this earth, temptations will not stop.
Selama kita hidup di dunia ini, pencobaan itu akan terus ada.
Wherever we go, wherever we look, there will be temptations for us.
Di mana kita pergi, kemanapun kita melihat, ada selalu pencobaan.
But it is not only because of the temptation that we sin,
Bukan hanya karena pencobaan ini maka kita berdosa,
but because of the desire that is inside of us all to sin.
tapi karena keinginan hati kita yang dibuahi.
So if we think about food,
Bayangkan tentang makanan.
think about your favorite snack.
Bayangkan tentang makanan kesukaan saudara.
I love coffee and a chocolate. Ooh, yum.
Saya suka coklat dan kopi.
Anything chocolate, pretty much. Chocolate mousse. Yeah, true. I can't decide. We'll go chocolate. Chocolate biscuits, chocolate mousse, chocolate, plain chocolate, chocolate with stuff in it. Anything chocolate, I love.
Ya, coklat dan berbagai variannya.
Yes, everything. And so these things, chocolate is desirable for me.
Ya, jadi coklat itu adalah sesuatu yang diinginkan oleh hati saya.
Now, even down to the language we use to talk about food. Don't tempt me with that, you know?
Ya, kadang saya bilang jangan cobain saya dengan coklat.
Someone puts chocolate out and I try to blame them for the reason that I just ate the whole box, right?
Ya. Kalau ada orang yang ngeluarin coklat dan saya akan menyalahkan mereka karena saya makan semua itu.
If there's chocolate there, it's a temptation.
Jadi kalau ada coklat itu adalah pencobaan bagi saya.
But my desire for that chocolate is what causes me to take it and eat it.
Tapi keinginan hati saya lah yang menyebabkan saya mengambil coklat itu dan menghabiskannya.
If someone puts a beautifully cooked fish that's super fresh and has all beautiful herbs and spices, I will gag and run away because I do not desire that fish.
Iya, kalau misalnya ada gurami asam manis sangat cantik dan lezat, mungkin dia akan lari karena dia nggak suka dengan ikan.
Beautiful fish. But for someone else, they might be like, that looks so good, I'm going to eat the whole thing, right?
Iya, kalau Kak Dela lihat pasti itu tempted buat dia.
Yes. The point is that we all have desires.
Intinya adalah semua kita punya keinginan,
They might all be different,
berbeda,
but we all have desires that are inherently sinful.
tapi kita punya keinginan yang bisa membawa kita kepada dosa.
The desire to be rude or to make rude jokes.
Keinginan untuk menjadi kasar dan juga hal-hal yang tidak baik.
The desire to speak negatively about others. To make
Keinginan
ourselves feel good.
Keinginan untuk menjelekkan orang lain.
The desire to lust.
Keinginan untuk jatuh dalam dosa seksual.
The desire to steal.
Keinginan untuk mencuri.
That these are all sinful desires that we all have, we all deal with.
Semua itu adalah keinginan yang menyebabkan kita jatuh dalam dosa.
And this is where sin comes from.
Inilah datangnya dosa.
It's not simply the fault of the person or the thing that is tempting us,
Bukan karena kesalahan hal-hal yang menggoda kita,
but it is our own desire that draws us to do that thing. Just as I have my own desire to eat that chocolate.
tapi keinginan kita untuk melakukannya. Sama seperti saya ingin untuk makan coklat itu.
Paul says in Romans that we are all guilty of sin. We are all without excuse.
Di kitab Roma berkata oleh Rasul Paulus bahwa kita semua telah mati oleh dosa.
So our biggest problem is not the temptations around us, but the desires that are within us.
Iya, jadi keinginan dalam hati kita lah yang menyebabkan kita jatuh dalam pencobaan itu.
It sounds tough, doesn't it? How do we fix that?
Bagaimana kita bisa memperbaikinya?
Well, James gives us some clear instruction in chapter 4.
Di ayat 4 dikatakan oleh Yakobus,
James chapter 4 gives us clear instruction of what we are to do to deal with temptations and our own desires. He says in chapter 4, verse 7 to 8, "Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Devil meaning all spiritual evil. "Come near to God, and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded."
karena itu tunduklah kepada Allah dan lawanlah iblis, maka ia akan lari daripadamu. Mendekatlah kepada Allah dan ia akan mendekat kepadamu. Tahirkanlah tanganmu, hai kamu orang-orang yang berdosa, dan sucikanlah hatimu, hai kamu yang mendua hati.
So direct, right? Straight to the point.
Sangat keras.
Not, it's okay, just do it like this.
Iya,
Submit to God, resist the devil, he will flee from you.
iya. Tunduklah pada Allah, lawanlah iblis, maka ia akan lari daripadamu.
So the way that we can overcome sinful desires is by first submitting to God.
Supaya kita bisa melawan dosa, ada pertama tunduk pada Allah.
To admit that his way of life is better than our way.
Untuk mengakui Tuhan bahwa jalanmu Tuhan lebih baik daripada jalanku.
To admit that our own desires, the plan that we have for our lives is not as good as what he has for us.
Mengakui bahwa jalannya Tuhan itu lebih baik daripada jalan saya sendiri.
That unless we acknowledge that, we cannot resist the evil around us. Because we
Tapi
think our own way is better.
kita tidak bisa melawan iblis dengan kekuatan kita sendiri karena kita selalu berpikir kita lebih baik.
Then we can resist the devil.
Tapi kita harus tunduk pada Allah sehingga kita bisa melawan iblis.
Another way that the word resist can be translated is to stand against.
Jadi kata melawan adalah same translation Indonesia, melawan.
Yes, same thing. We stand against the temptations that come our way and the desires that pull us into those things.
Ya. Jadi kita melawan pencobaan itu dengan tunduk kepada Allah.
As we submit our desires and what we want to God, that his desires become our own.
Jadi kita menundukkan keinginan kita kepada Allah sehingga kita memiliki keinginan yang berasal daripada Tuhan, bukan dunia ini.
And we acknowledge that his ways are better than our ways.
Karena jalannya Tuhan tuh lebih baik daripada jalannya kita.
And as we do that, we have the power to then resist the temptations in our lives.
Sehingga kita punya kuasa untuk melawan dosa.
If my desire is to be maybe aggressive or abusive towards someone who has pushed in line in front of me,
Misalnya
to get them
saya,
back, right? I have a desire for revenge.
ya misalnya saya punya kebiasaan untuk abusive, kasar dan juga agresif terhadap orang lain.
Anyone? Get angry when someone cuts in front in line?
Misalnya memotong
Pasti semua.
mobil kita atau memotong antrian kita.
But let's say that earlier that morning, I acknowledged that God's way is better and that patience and love for other people is more important than my desire to be first in line.
Iya, tapi kadang Tuhan di pagi hari itu menunjukkan, aku harus bersabar dan aku tahu jalan Tuhan itu lebih baik daripada apa keinginan hati saya.
Then when I get to the shops and someone cuts in front of me,
Ketika saya ke supermarket dan orang memotong antrian,
I can remember, God, I've submitted my will to you, so help me to now outwork that and to not fall into this temptation because of my desire to get back at this person.
Ya, Tuhan tolong aku ingat Tuhan itu baik, biar aku tidak marah dan kasar sama dia karena aku tahu ini pencobaan bagi saya.
Now, as we submit to God, that we can resist the temptations in our lives.
Karena kita tunduk pada Allah, kita bisa melawan pencobaan ini.
And there is a promise here in this verse from James that as we do resist, that the devil, the enemy, the spiritual evil in this world will flee from us.
Ya, dikatakan di kitab Yakobus bahwa ketika tunduk pada Allah, melawan iblis dan ia akan lari daripadamu.
That because we are submitted to God and following Jesus, that he cannot stand in our way.
Dan iblis itu tidak bisa melawan kita.
If we're following Jesus, we have authority over that spiritual evil because of what Jesus has done for us.
Kalau kita mengikuti Yesus, kita punya otoritas atas segala kuasa roh-roh dan iblis itu karena dia nggak punya kuasa lagi.
So imagine you had a personal trainer or a dietitian.
Bayangkan saudara punya seorang PT dan juga seorang ahli gizi.
Maybe I need that to help me stop eating chocolate. In order for this dietitian or personal trainer to be effective, I need to actually do what they tell me, right?
Ya, supaya PT personal trainer ini dan ahli gizi ini bekerja dengan baik, saya harus mengikuti apa yang mereka sarankan kepada saya.
I need to submit my desire to eat chocolate to their better desire for my health in order for me to, get better, get more fit.
Saya harus
more healthy.
menyerahkan keinginan saya untuk makan coklat selalu supaya saya bisa sehat.
If my dietitian gives me this awesome plan about what I should eat for each meal, and then I read it and then don't follow it, what use is it?
Ya, jika ahli gizi itu memberikan saya planning untuk menu tiap hari, tapi saya nggak ikutin menu itu, apa gunanya?
If I have a diet plan but continue to eat whatever I want, it's pointless.
Jika saya ada rencana diet, tapi saya makan sesuka saya, apa gunanya?
But if I trust that the dietitian wants the best for my health,
Tapi saya kalau percaya ahli gizi itu mau yang terbaik untuk kesehatan saya,
then when I'm tempted to eat chocolate, I can remember my dietitian told me I shouldn't do that.
ya, ketika saya ingin makan coklat itu, saya ingat, ahli gizi itu bilang nggak boleh makan
And it's
coklat.
very similar that as we submit ourselves to God, as we submit our desires to Him, that when we're tempted, that we can say no.
Sama seperti kita juga tunduk pada Allah dengan menyerahkan keinginan hati kita yang berbuah dosa.
And as we do so, we're able to resist the temptations and God begins to change us on the inside.
Saat kita melawan pencobaan dan dosa itu, Tuhan yang tetap berkuasa atas hidup kita.
And so practically, maybe there is a sin that you struggle with.
Secara prakteknya adalah mungkin ada pergumulan dosa yang saudara pergumulkan.
We don't have to do this on our own, right?
Jangan lakukan dengan kekuatan kita
That
sendiri.
God has given us this beautiful community here at C3 The Bucket to encourage one another and to help one another.
Kita punya komunitas sini, Sitri di Bukit, supaya kita bisa saling menguatkan.
That if you are struggling with something, then please come and share with someone or a trusted friend.
Saudara bisa sharingkan dengan orang yang saudara percaya di sini.
That we can pray for you and encourage you and help each other out in this.
Sehingga kita bisa saling mendoakan dan saling menguatkan.
So, number one that we actively do is resist sin.
Yang pertama, lawan dosa.
Number two is pursue Jesus.
Yang kedua, mengejar atau mengikut Yesus.
An important one. If Jesus is the source of the life that we are called to live, and if we're not connected to Him, then what are we doing?
Ya, kalau Tuhan Yesus adalah sumber kehidupan kita, tapi kita nggak berkoneksi dengan Dia, apa gunanya?
Like a TV that's not connected to the power plug, it's useless, right?
Sama seperti TV yang nggak dicolokkan ke listrik, apa gunanya?
And so if we go back to the start of the letter, what does James introduce himself as?
Ingat saudara, tadi Yakobus memperkenalkan dirinya sebagai siapa?
Do we remember? A servant.
Ya, hamba Allah.
So what does a servant do?
Apa yang dilakukan oleh seorang pelayan? Hamba.
They serve.
Yeah.
Wow. But in order to serve effectively, a servant must know what their master desires, what their master wants.
Ya, seorang hamba supaya efektif dalam melayani, dia harus tahu apa yang tuannya mau.
And the servant's job is to ask the master what they want and then to do it.
Ya, jadi tugas pelayan adalah, Tuhan, kamu mau apa biar saya bisa lakukan.
In calling himself a servant, James is in part stating his purpose.
Jadi Yakobus ini menaruh tujuannya sebagai seorang hamba,
To seek what God wants and to do it.
mencari dan melakukan apa yang Tuhan mau.
Just as we read before in James 4 verse 7, that we are to submit to God.
Dikatakan di Yakobus 4 ayat 7 kalau kita tunduklah pada Allah.
And so when we think about our own lives, what are we pursuing?
Mari kita pikirkan, sebenarnya apa yang saya kejar dalam kehidupan saya?
Are we pursuing Jesus?
Apakah saya mengejar Yesus
Or are we pursuing something else?
atau yang lain?
Maybe wealth,
Atau saya
Money.
sibuk mengejar kekayaan
maybe a relationship,
atau suatu hubungan
maybe a good career.
atau karir yang sangat bagus.
And while these things are not inherently bad, if we're seeking them more than we're seeking Jesus and pursuing Jesus,
Iya, bukan berarti semuanya itu jelek, tapi kalau kita mencari yang lain daripada Yesus,
then that leads us away from following him.
itu membawa kita jauh dari Tuhan.
Pulls us away from the life he's calling us to live.
Membawa jauh kita dari panggilan Tuhan.
And so pursuing Jesus and resisting sin go hand in hand.
Jadi mengejar Yesus dan juga melawan dosa itu bergandengan tangan.
As we pursue Jesus more and more, it helps us to resist sin.
Kalau kita mengejar Yesus lebih lagi, itu membantu kita untuk melawan dosa.
And as we stand against or resist sin, it then helps us to follow Jesus.
Kalau kita terus hidup melawan dosa, artinya kita mengikut Yesus dengan sungguh-sungguh.
Matthew 6:33, Jesus says, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well."
Tetapi carilah dahulu kerajaan Allah dan kebenarannya, maka semuanya itu akan ditambahkan kepadamu.
That as we do pursue Jesus, we have the promise that, as we've been talking about in Good Shepherd, we lack nothing. We will have all that we need.
Ya, saat kita mengejar Yesus, sama seperti di Mazmur 23 dikatakan, kita tidak akan kekurangan suatu apapun.
But if we claim to be followers of Jesus but don't actually live it out, then we're not doing the very thing we claim to do.
Ya, kalau kita bilang kita mengejar Yesus tapi kita tidak membuktikannya dengan perbuatan kita, sebenarnya kita tidak bisa mengklaim kita adalah pengikut Yesus.
If we claim to follow Jesus but rock up to church each week without having even tried to pray or tried to connect with him throughout the week, what are we really doing?
Iya, kalau kita bilang kita pengikut Yesus, kita hanya datang ke gereja tapi tidak melakukan apapun, apakah gunanya?
If we look at the life of Jesus himself, he very often actively pursues his Father. He pursues God.
Ya, dikatakan di sini kalau Yakobus dia mengejar Tuhan dalam kehidupannya sehari-hari.
We were talking about this on Wednesday night actually, that Jesus often went out to pray into wilderness or places where he was alone.
Iya, waktu Connect Group Rabu kemarin dikatakan bahwa Yesus memisahkan dirinya dari kumpulan orang banyak untuk mencari Tuhan dan berdoa.
That he actively pursued God.
Dia mengejar Bapanya.
In the same way that I spoke about surfing before,
Sama seperti yang saya katakan sebelumnya,
simply knowing the right things to say
tahu apa yang hal yang baik dikatakan,
does not mean that we have a genuine faith. Does not mean that we're genuinely pursuing Jesus.
tidak berarti kita punya iman yang sejati.
When Jesus instructed his followers how they should pray, he begins with our Father in heaven.
Sama seperti Yesus katakan bahwa berdoalah mulai dengan Bapa kami yang di surga.
And so this then shows us another part of our relationship with God.
Ya, jadi ini menunjukkan bagaimana hubungan kita dengan Tuhan.
That we're not just his servants or minions here on earth doing what he wants us to do.
Ya, kita bukan hanya hamba melakukan apa yang Tuhan mau, tapi kita punya hubungan dengan Bapa.
That yes, that's part of what we are. We're here to serve.
Walaupun sebagian kita melayani,
But we also have a beautiful relationship with God as our Father.
tapi kita punya hubungan yang baik dengan Tuhan kita, yaitu Dia Bapa kita.
That we're not just pursuing some taskmaster in the sky, but we are pursuing our loving Father.
Ya, kita tidak hanya mengejar Tuhan sebagai Tuhan kita, tapi juga sebagai Bapa kita.
And we can do this simply by making time to pray and not just reading a prayer or going through a list of things that we want, but from meeting him like a father, like you would a father.
Jadi kita tidak sibuk dengan berdoa, lakuin ini, baca ini. Tapi ada satu kerinduan dan ada hubungan.
So that's number 2, is pursue Jesus.
Yaitu yang kedua tadi, mengejar atau mengikut Yesus.
Number 3, do good.
Yang ketiga, melakukan yang baik.
We're going to read again from James 2 verse 14 to 17. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead.
Apakah gunanya saudara-saudaraku jikalau seorang mengatakan bahwa ia mempunyai iman padahal ia tidak mempunyai perbuatan? Dapatkah iman itu menyelamatkan dia jika seorang saudara atau saudari tidak mempunyai pakaian dan kekurangan makanan sehari-hari dan seorang di antara kamu berkata, "Selamat jalan, kenakanlah kain panas dan makanlah sampai kenyang," tetapi ia tidak memberikan kepadanya apa yang perlu bagi tubuhnya, apakah gunanya itu? Demikian juga halnya dengan iman. Jika iman itu tidak disertai perbuatan, maka iman itu pada hakikatnya adalah mati.
So as followers of Jesus, we're called to act.
Jadi sebagai pengikut Yesus kita dipanggil untuk bertindak.
We're called to be people of our word.
Kita jadi orang yang menghidupi perkataannya.
That we don't just sit around and talk about theology or debate different topics.
Ya, kita tidak sibuk mendebatkan masalah firman Tuhan, tapi
or talk about social justice issues.
Atau masalah keadilan sosial.
But we actively work to help people in need.
Tapi kita hidup sesuai dengan iman perkataan iman disertai perbuatan.
To restore people with the love of God.
Menolong orang lain supaya kembali kepada Tuhan.
If we see someone in need and don't act, we're not living the faith that we're called to.
Kalau kita lihat orang membutuhkan tapi kita tidak membantu, kita tidak hidup dalam iman.
So on Friday I was at school and it was quite a busy day.
Hari Jumat saya di sekolah pagi dan sibuk.
And so at about 11 a.m. I get a text message in our teachers' WhatsApp group asking, one of the teachers is asking for help to fix a projector.
Ya, jadi jam 11 itu ada di grup guru, tolong bantu saya untuk perbaiki proyektor.
And so I see this message.
Saya melihat pesan ini.
And I'm like, I got 15 minutes till my class. I don't really want to go help.
Saya lihat kalau saya harus mengajar 11.15, kayaknya saya nggak pengen pergi menolong.
To make it worse, the teacher is on the 3rd floor of the building, so 6 flights of stairs above me. I'm like, I just can't be bothered.
Dan sebenarnya saya lagi di lantai bawah dan guru itu lantai 3 dan harus ada naik 6 tangga ke sana.
And so I replied to her message in the group and said, if you just do this, this, and this, then it should work.
Ya, jadi saya membalas WA itu, kamu lakukan 1, 2, 3 seharusnya bisa.
And then a couple of minutes after that, she replies and says, it's still not working. That didn't work.
Dan dia bilang, aduh masih nggak bisa ini.
And then I was reminded by Holy Spirit
dan saya diingatin oleh Roh Kudus
that I had read James 2 earlier in the morning.
Padahal saya sudah baca Yakobus 2 di pagi hari.
And so I reluctantly went up and helped her fix the projector.
Begitu Tuhan ingatkan, saya langsung naik lantai 3 dan perbaiki proyektor itu.
And she was very thankful and very appreciative of it, but that's not important.
Dia berterima kasih, tapi bukan itu bagian pentingnya.
It does help, maybe sometimes. And so, you know, this simple act, it's not a big thing that I did.
Ya, mungkin itu hanya tindakan yang sederhana.
But this is the kind of thing that Jesus is calling us to do, that James is talking about here.
Ya, tapi inilah yang hal kecil yang harus kita praktekkan tiap hari.
In 1 John 3, he tells us that if we see someone in need and don't help them, that we don't have any love in us.
Ya, dikatakan kalau kita melihat orang yang membutuhkan tapi kita tidak menolongnya, tidak ada kasih di dalam kita.
And James would say, if you see someone in need and don't help them, you don't have genuine faith.
Ya, Yakobus katakan kalau kamu melihat orang membutuhkan tapi kamu tidak menolongnya, kita tidak punya iman yang sejati.
That when we feel like or see someone in need, when we feel like we should help someone, that is what we're called to do, that we need to do that work.
Kalau kita melihat orang yang membutuhkan, Tuhan pasti tahu kita mampu menolong dia.
Or we actively pray and ask God, show me people in need.
Atau setiap hari mari kita berani bilang, Tuhan tunjukkan kepada saya siapa yang saya harus tolong dan siapa yang harus saya doakan.
As we were talking about during Beyond a few weeks ago, that there are so many people around us that are in need, right?
Kita lihat beberapa minggu terakhir kalau kita lihat banyak orang yang membutuhkan.
So as followers of Jesus, we're called to be active in resisting sin, pursuing Jesus, and doing the good that he calls us to do.
Jadi yang pertama lawan dosa, mengejar Yesus dan juga melakukan hal baik yang Tuhan mau.
So being active in our faith takes effort.
Untuk aktif dalam iman itu butuh usaha.
We have to apply ourselves to it.
Kita harus melakukannya.
It requires us to not just talk about it, but to live it.
Bukan hanya membicarakannya, tapi menghidupinya.
Imagine you were in the ocean,
Bayangkan saudara ada di laut.
not where I want to be.
Walaupun saudara nggak suka, bayangkan dulu.
And so it's as though we're in the ocean. If we are passive with our faith, if we are not actively living out our faith,
Kalau kita menjadi orang pasif dan tidak hidup dalam iman,
if we are not intentional about seeking God, about resisting sin, about doing the good that He calls us to do,
kalau kita nggak sungguh-sungguh mencari Tuhan dan tidak melawan dosa,
then we become like someone in the ocean who's just drifting around with the currents, being pulled all over the place.
ya sama seperti orang yang di laut dibawa oleh arus jauh sampai ke tengah.
The currents of our sinful desires,
Arus dari dosa kita,
of our culture, the culture that we live in,
arus dari budaya dunia ini,
of our friends and our relationships.
atau arus dari hubungan yang salah.
And before we know it, we are out in the middle of the ocean with no life vest and no safety ring. We're in trouble, right?
Mungkin tanpa sadar kita udah di tengah laut dan kita udah mungkin akan tenggelam.
That unless we are actively trying or actively putting in effort to live this life of faith,
Tapi kalau kita berusaha dan mau hidup dalam iman yang sejati,
that we are just pulled into whatever is around us and within us.
kita akan berusaha supaya kita tidak terbawa oleh arus itu.
Romans 12 verse 2, do not conform to the patterns of this world.
Dikatakan di Roma 12 ayat 2, janganlah engkau menjadi serupa dengan dunia ini.
Do not passively allow this world to form us into something or someone.
Jangan biarkan dunia ini yang mengubah saudara.
Do not allow the world to shape who you are.
Jangan biarkan dunia ini membentuk saudara.
Do not allow the culture around you to define who you become and what you believe.
Jangan biarkan budaya dunia ini mendefinisikan siapa saudara.
But as we don't actively fight against it, we slowly become more and more like the culture that we live in, more and more like the people around us in the world.
Tapi kalau kita tidak aktif untuk melawan hal tersebut, kita semakin tertarik ke sana.
But we are called to submit to God, to resist the devil, and he will flee from us.
Tapi kalau kita tunduk pada Allah, melawan iblis dan ia akan lari daripadamu.
That as though we were in the ocean, as we actively resist, as we actively pursue Jesus, it's as though we start swimming and are no longer just pulled around by the things in and around us.
Ya, sama ketika kita di laut, ketika kita sungguh-sungguh mencari Tuhan dan terus berenang, maka kita akan selamat
That we
sampai.
are not hopeless, we are not helpless.
Kita tidak hopeless dan tidak helpless. Artinya tidak, kita ada pertolongan dan ada juga pengharapan.
Because we have Holy Spirit with us.
Karena ada Roh Kudus di dalam kita.
That we don't have to do this on our own.
Tidak melakukannya dengan kekuatan sendiri.
That yes, we have to decide to do it,
Kita memang punya keinginan untuk melakukannya.
but it is God Himself who helps us to do it.
Tapi perbuatan baik yang kita melakukan itu karena ada Roh Kudus yang memampukan kita.